College football, week 7, best bets. In this video, we go through 4 of the biggest games on Saturday, as well as a couple other games that we really like, as well as some player props. As always, my name is Austin. I will be joined by my trusty co-host, Logan. Logan, it is good to see you. I know last week's video, we had to recap an 0-6 day, so let's recap how you did last week. A pretty good bounce back. 4-2, Logan. We love to see that. I went 2-4, though, so I did not pick up the slack. I had a couple straight 3-3 weeks, and it was culminated by, let me just put this guy on. Last week, I recommended you guys bet Penn State minus 24.5. Just might have been worst wager of the year. Never stood a chance. They were down like 20 to, oh man, that was disaster. I would look at the score. I'm like, there's just no way, right? We're going to get back in this. No, they lost outright. 24.5 point. I don't know how you do that. But you know what? It's a new week. Let's bounce back and let's just dive into the games. Like I said at the top of the show, we're going to have some player props at the end of the video. We'll be taking those on Underdog Fantasy. A reminder, if you sign up using code COS or the link down below, play $5, get $100 in play bonus funds. Take advantage. Logan, let's head out to Eugene for our first matchup where we have the Indiana Hoosiers taking on the Oregon Ducks. Oregon right now minus 7.5, minus 300 on the money line, over under 54.5. This is the only battle of 2 top 10 programs. Logan, what's the play in this first game of the week?
Yeah, I have a feeling this game is going to have some points in it. Don't know who's going to score the bulk of them, so we're just going to take an over. I'm going to ride with the over in this one. It's at a good number. I mean, we're not asking for 70 points in this one. Oregon's offense has really been firing on all cylinders these first 5 games. 46.6 points per game. That's just in crazy numbers. We saw even what they were able to do in a hostile environment in Happy Valley. They were able to put up plenty of points. I have no issues with their offense. Indiana's offense as well, they've been explosive. 47.8 points per game in their first 5 matchups. We really know they're keeping defenses off balance. And that kind of firepower, offensively can go toe-to-toe with Oregon. I think that's kind of why we see like a 7.5 point spread. Nothing crazy. Indiana has the guys. Kurt Cignetti, it's what they do. They are good on the offensive side of the ball. Oregon's defense hasn't been as successful as the offense. I mean, in that 3-3-5 look, it just hasn't really meshed. And we saw them let Penn State back into that game. That's like the big matchup I have to go on. And Penn State's not a good offense. I mean, Austin can attest, right? I mean, they're not consistent. Both Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza are both quarterbacks that take care of the ball. Have only thrown 1 interception each this year. They take care of the ball. Both offensive lines are very talented up front. Austin, I see a ton of explosive plays coming from both of these offenses. So give me the over. Love that as the pick in that one.
Yeah, Logan, I'm in complete agreement with you. Last week, I feel like in the big games, I did well on my totals. I was on that under in that Vanderbilt-Alabama game because it just looks so easy to take points. And when it looks easy, you take the under. I know this one looks easy, and I think it will be. This is not one I want to get sharp, try to take an under. For all the reasons he said, I think these are 2 high explosive offenses. Mendoza and that Indiana offense, I don't feel like they ever run the football. They're just always chucking it. And then Oregon, they've been able to put up points. And I know they didn't have a great game against Penn State, but eventually the offense got going. I think they'll be able to score. They also are a pretty aggressive team. They were going for it on 4th down nonstop in that Penn State game. So we like to see that. We much rather touchdowns than long field goals. I think it's what you see is a bunch of touchdowns. And then if Oregon gets up, like the spread suggests, you'll just see Indiana throwing it even more. I think they're able to put up some garbage time points here. I like the over. I hate that we're both on the over, but I think we're both cashing. We're starting off 1-0. Let's go to the next game where we have the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Missouri Tigers. Missouri, knock on wood, Logan, one of our futures was their team total over in wins. It's looking good, but we're not going to start counting a winner before it's already hit. It would be great if they could get a win on Saturday against the Crimson Tide. They're 3.5 point dogs. The over under 51.5. Logan, what do you like here?
You touched on it. My future that I pitched before the season was Missouri's win total over. And one of the things that I liked in that one was the fact that they've been at home for so long. They have not had a road game. And here we are in October, the first week of October, still have yet to go on the road. They've been playing such good football at home, and that's why I'm rolling with Missouri, and I'll take them with the points, so, plus 3.5. Get the field goal in the hook. I do like that number in case it does come down to a field goal. Look, I would love a Missouri outright win. That would be so great for the future. It would all but make me feel like that future cashes because it's like these types of games that we kind of have to have. Vanderbilt still had 8.1 yards per carry, last week against this Alabama team, they were able to move the ball. And I did have Alabama minus the points, I'll admit, and got a little lucky on that cover that they felt like running up the score. But I think with on the ground attack for Missouri, they've got the guys. Ahmad Hardy, transfer from UL Monroe, has really elevated this rushing attack for Missouri. I mean, in the red zone, you need your bell cow type running back to be able to punch it in. That's what they have with Ahmad Hardy. Bama 87th in defense in terms of stopping the run, allowing 155 yards per game on the ground. There's an edge there. There's an edge for Ahmad Hardy and this Missouri offense. On the flip side, Alabama has not been that consistent at running the ball. And on the road, you want to think they're going to lean on Jam Miller in that running attack. 105th in the nation, and Missouri's top rated defense is so good at stopping the run. Tigers are first, giving up 56 rushing yards per game. Again, it's the competition they've played, but they've been so good against the run. I think they can really force Ty Simpson into some uncomfortable throws and kind of like make this Alabama offense a little more one-dimensional than they want to be. That's what it's going to come down to. Bo Pribula and this Missouri offense. If you don't watch Bo, but Penn State fans wish they still had Bo Pribula. This guy is explosive. He is so electric on the ground. Give me Missouri. I think they win this game. I think their money lines are worth a sprinkle, but I'll take them with the points for safety in the spot.
I like your confidence there. I can't get there with Missouri, and I can't really get there with Alabama minus the points. So I'm starting the week off with two rare overs. I will be on the over here. I know I was on the under last week with the Alabama Vanderbilt game, and they put up 30 plus points. I think this is a game where Missouri, I think they're going to have to score if they're going to be competitive in this one, because I don't really trust their defense a whole lot. Yeah, they've been playing at home, but again, the competition's been pretty weak, like Central Arkansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, and UMass. I mean, these are all pretty bad offenses. The only decent-ish offense they faced was Jalen Daniels in Kansas. They hung 31 on them. So, look, I think Ty Simpson, this offense, are going to be able to throw it all around the field, but I also think the Missouri Tigers offense can be able to score too. I'm not totally bought in on Alabama's defense so far this season on the road here. Their next game's to face in Tennessee. That's always a big game. Maybe they overlook Missouri a little bit here. I think their offense shows up. I don't know if their defense does. 51.5. I think this is one of those rare SEC games where each team's got 30 plus points by the end of it, and you're just like, dang, the over was free. I think it's one of those games. So I'll be on the rare back-to-back overs. You hate to see that. Well, let's move to a game that I won't lie to you, Logan. I think there's not going to be a lot of points in the Red River rivalry, as you have the Texas Longhorns taking on Oklahoma. This game is a pick 'em. Right now, as we record this Wednesday evening, I don't know what your assumption is, Logan, but it appears John Mateer, do you think he's suiting up? I know he's coming back from the hand injury. He said it like he thinks. I don't know. What is your thoughts on him first up suiting up?
Yeah, it's the reason I really can't get a gauge on it, because this is like kind of the game to kind of rush him out if you are going to be able to do that. I think, again, I knowing what you and I both know about college football, they don't really take injuries as serious as they do in the NFL. I think they could maybe force Mateer into there. I could just see it. Maybe this swings the spread a little bit of this one. But Austin, I'll go first if that's okay. As for my pick in this one, it doesn't hinge on John Mateer playing. I'm taking Texas's team total under 22.5. Now, again, if he plays great, does that affect this bet? No, because he doesn't play on the defensive side of the ball. What do we know about this Oklahoma team? They pride themselves on defense. It's led by Brent Venables. I mean, this is a defensive minded head coach. Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the nation, number 2 in the nation in defense, allowing 7.2 points per game, 118 passing yards per game. They faced decent opponents as well. We remember that Michigan game. They're going to give Texas hell up front. I mean, they are going to mix all sorts of looks for Arch Manning, and we saw Arch Manning just kind of look young and inexperienced and like a deer in headlights at times in the swamp. I'm wearing the Gators polo, repping my boys, because I was so happy they were able to get it done. But yeah, that Texas offense was nothing inspiring at all. And they just really are struggling at keeping those long drives going. It just feels like once they start to get something going, it just results in a punt. I mean, they're just not getting enough red zone trips. He also bad turnovers for Arch Manning as well. Sarkisian has really been unable to get those scoring opportunities on the board. 32 drives beyond the opponent's 40-yard line, just an average of 3.7 points. So even when they are getting into the opponent's red zone, they are not converting them to touchdowns. Oklahoma 5th in rushing yards allowed, 1st in yards per play allowed. I just think Oklahoma's defense, even in this neutral site game, they just shut down Texas. And give me Texas's team total under. Love that as my angle in that one.
Yeah, again, I can't really give a pick on the side because it's like, hey, we really don't know recording this Wednesday night. I do like the full game under though, Logan. I'm not afraid to involve Oklahoma in this full game. Even if Mateer plays, he's coming back, rushed back. I just can't see him being as good as he was early on in the season when he was, a big part of his game was scrambling, making plays with his feet. I mean, I get it's a big game against Texas, but I don't know if we're really. I mean, he could easily get hit and then boom, he's out again. And I really haven't liked what the backup QBs have really been doing. And so I like the full game under. I know Texas's defense didn't show up a ton last week against Florida. Again, I was on the over in that game, a nasty one. No one wanted to take an over, and it cashed for these. I think this is a game where we see a lower scoring one. I'm not saying it's going to be, the same kind of outcome as that first game where it was Ohio State versus Texas 14-7, but it certainly could be. This could be a slug it out, grind it out, field goal type game where the Sarkisian's like, Arch, just don't make mistakes. Let's just run it with you. We'll do some QB dives and stuff like that just to get first downs. And they're just trying to grind out points against Oklahoma, grind out the clock here. I think that's really their best recipe for success. I like the under 43.5. I do. I think that's going to be a good one. And hope your Texas pick cash. Let's hope they score 0. That would be best case scenario for both of us. And then our final game of the week, Logan, before we get into some individual games, is Ohio State, the number one overall ranked team, taking on Illinois. I'm going to be honest, Logan. Illinois, they were my darling early on in the season. I cashed a couple picks with them. Ever since then, this team just steals my coin. And whatever I take, I don't blame you if you want to fade it. I'll be honest, because they just steal my coin. And I if I could opt to just take the loss of my record without even giving out a pick, I'd probably opt for that because it's just agonizing everything I do with them. But I will be on Illinois' team total under at 17.5. The Ohio State defense, I mean, I could pull up all the metrics in the world, but they've been one of the best defenses in college football all season long. And they faced some decent teams. Like, sure, you could say Texas isn't a great team, but again, this is a team that so far this season, not a single team has scored even double digits against them. And Minnesota, Washington, and Texas are the notable teams they've played. I'm just not a big guy on Luke Altmaier. I get he's put up some decent numbers here, but this Ohio State defense is just absolutely all over the field. And I could see Altmaier has yet to throw an interception. Maybe he's too conservative here. And I think if you're going to score points on Ohio State, you got to take some risks. And you got to be able to throw the deep ball and take some risks here. I don't know if Altmaier's going to do it. I think he's going to be able to dinking and dunking. And eventually that's not going to work. You're set up for some field goals if you can even get there. I'll take their team total under 17.5. I don't love it, but they're going to piss me off. If Illinois, if they go over 17.5, I'm not touching a single one of their games. They could be the number one overranked team. I'm out. But I like the team total under, Logan. But what do you like?
Yeah, for everybody watching this, I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. Austin's like, do we have to do this Ohio State Illinois game?
I wanted to pick literally any other game, man. Any other game I would do.
Yeah, I was like, this is a ranked matchup. We have to touch on it. I know Austin wanted to take a pass. I like your angle though, because I'm in the same agreement though, not exactly the same pick, but I'm going to be on the first half under, and I got it at 26.5. Look, when we get matchups like this, I think we see more of a classic Big Ten kind of like slugfest early, especially considering like Ohio State is not necessarily a juggernaut away from the shoe. I mean, the totals went under 4 of Ohio State's last 6 games on the road, so that kind of does benefit what you were saying. Like Ohio State, when they play these road games, their defense shows up. Their offense not necessarily in the same explosive manner. And I think Illinois would be smart not to want to get in a shootout with Ohio State. You're not going to win that with Luke Altmaier. That's just not going to happen. We know how good this Ohio State defense is. You touched on it. They've been really special. Just 25 points in the first 5 games combined allowed. I mean, no one scores more than 10 on this team. They're really a great defensive, front, and their secondary backs them up as well. And that's why I think a first half under is a kind of good thing to take, because it's going to take some feeling out for Illinois' offense to really be able to generate those explosive, those touchdowns. Because I could see him settling for some field goals, and same on the Ohio State side as well. I mean, we know kind of what Brent Bielema wants to do. He's going to want to contain Julian Say and not let him, throw for 400 type yards. They're going to study up on that Washington game. I remember you were on that under. I see more game flow similar to that Washington game where we get, just 2 Big Ten teams that are just, feeling each other out in the first half. And then maybe in the second half, once they change up the schemes, that's where the offense thrives. But I want the first half under, where the defenses can hopefully dominate in that one.
Yeah, no, Logan, I love it. Hopefully it's 0-0 at halftime for all we care. But I do like that first half under as well. 26.5 with the full game total at 49.5. Feels like a solid angle to take there. But Logan, it's time to dive into some individual games. Since you had a 4-2 record last week, we'll let you lead things off with your first other pick of the week. Take us away. Where are we going?
Yeah, so my first pick is kind of a scene of the crime pick. It's fading a team I lost money fading last week. I'm taking Oregon State. I'm taking the Beavers +3. They're facing Wake Forest, and you guys, you remember I went 4-2 last week. One of my two losses was Virginia Tech, an embarrassing loss because I they played just about as bad as a game as they could. They let Wake Forest go into their home stadium and win outright. I mean, just a terrible look. Terrible pick, actually. I mean, I shouldn't have trusted Virginia Tech, but I am on the Beavers to in this underdog role. I think they're live underdogs. I think they could win this game. Kind of looking at the public percentages. I mean, everyone's on Wake Forest, so I don't mind being a slight contrarian in this spot. I mean, if we look at this Wake Forest team, we know who their quarterback is. It's a guy I mentioned while I was fading him, Robbie Ashford. He's just not a good quarterback. He's not polished, completing just under 60% of his passes. 1,100 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's very careless with the ball. I mean, he was throwing just picks left and right, or like balls that were in the defender's hands in that Virginia Tech game. It was just constantly he would roll around, just kind of chuck it up. He's careless with the ball. And going into this game, I know he will be a little banged up because he did a lot of damn running in that Virginia Tech game. He was limping every now and then, just kind of from playing hero ball. It's not a sustainable offense at all. I mean, we look at also their leading running back, Claiborne. He's banged up after a rib injury against Kennesaw State and a knee injury against Virginia Tech. His status is uncertain. So really where this Wake Forest offense is coming from, I just don't think they're going to really be able to run and hide away from Oregon State. Also, something I noticed from watching that Virginia Tech Wake Forest game, I hated my life for watching it, but I did. Wake Forest is one of the most penalized teams in the nation, tied for 114th in the FBS, 69 penalty yards per game. Nice. Oregon State has been one of the least penalized team, number 6 in the nation. So you're in college football. One of the more metrics that I like to look at is like disciplined teams. I mean, it's really hard to back these teams that just are penalized constantly in second and third and long because they're holding, because they're false starts, etc. On the road, once again in this spot, Wake Forest got it done against Virginia Tech on the road. I just don't see them really being able to get it done traveling across the country to Oregon State. I know Oregon State's not a juggernaut anymore, but they're going to get up for this game. Wake Forest is not going to catch them by surprise. Give me the Beavers plus the points as my first pick. Love that one. But Austin, what you rolling with?
You are willingly taking a team that is 0-6. Hey, I support you, man. I will root you on from the sidelines. I'm not getting involved with the Beavers, but I will root for you. My next pick, I'm heading out to an SEC showdown. One that I'm going to get sharp, could look bad. Let's take Auburn. Let's take the Tigers, +4.5, -120 on FanDuel. Look, I get it. They're facing Georgia, and no one's going to want to back Auburn here. Everyone's going to have Georgia money line in their parlays, and I get why. But I think this is a spot where Auburn, coming off a loss, coming off 2 straight losses, where you could say they just didn't play well. They could have a chance at spoiling UGA here. This is obviously UGA's only had really one road game this year. That was that Tennessee game that was back and forth, went to OT, won by 3 there. I think Auburn's defense has been good enough this season to keep them in games. It's been the offense has been questionable. And I think Jackson Arnold here can make enough plays, manage this game, and keep it close. Gunnar Stockton, as I already said, he's been good this season, but again, just his second true road start, a 7:30 primetime game. It's going to be bumping in Auburn. Everyone's going to be at this game. There's nothing else to do there. I think you're going to see Auburn show up here. I get UGA as a big name, and they are going to carry that into these games. And they have Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches in football. But again, this is a team that could overlook Auburn. Not a ranked team. They have a top 10 matchup against Ole Miss next week at home. They could easily overlook what I think is a scrappy Auburn team, especially their defense, who they've already beaten in 8 straight games. So it's not like they're like, all right, this is always a tough game. Sometimes these games aren't even competitive. I think Auburn keeps this one close within a field goal, +4.5. I love it. I think they can do it. Jackson Arnold just needs to not turn over the ball. I think we got a chance here. I think he can make plays with his feet to extend some drives. I love the Tigers, +4.5, my first pick of the weekend. But Logan, what do you like for your second one?
touching back on my first pick, yes, the Beavers are winless. Yes, I do think they could get their first win. I want to be that sharp guy. I want to call it their first win. So yes, I do like that pick. But I'll also roll with a team that not many people are talking about, but they are playing the favorite role here. I'm taking Old Dominion minus 14 and a half. I'm laying the sort of big number with Old Dominion in this one. They've played some good teams and they've held their own. Respectable cover against Indiana, a 13-point loss. That's looking really good, in hindsight, considering how good Indiana's been playing. They've averaged 42 points per game while reeling 4 wins in a row as well. That includes one of those wins was against Virginia Tech, and that was they beat Virginia Tech so bad they fired Brent Pry. So this is an Old Dominion team that I think deserves a little more respect, and we're going to see them laying a big number in this spot. But I think they do cover it. Colton Joseph has he's been more of a superstar for this team in the group of five in the group of five like quarterback tier. He's on pace for 3,000 yards through the air, 1,000 yards on the ground, 40 touchdowns. He's just a dual threat guy. I think he's going to present a ton of problems for a Marshall defense that just gave up 54 to Louisiana and dual threat quarterback Lunch Winfield. What a name. If you guys play college football 26, he's a name of the game candidate there. He does have a card. Lunch Winfield, great name. But we saw Lunch Winfield be able to run for 129 yards, 3 touchdowns on them. Marshall 106th in tackling, 103rd in big play containment, and 116th in coverage. How about that for defensive metrics? Typically, you don't want those numbers to be in the hundredths in the FBS. That just means you're bad. And I think we're going to see the Old Dominion Monarchs. If you didn't know their mascot, they're the Monarchs. They're going to be just overwhelm them on the defensive side of the ball. That Marshall really just doesn't stack up well. They're Old Dominion 17th in points allowed, 13th in passing yards allowed. Marshall, by comparison, 119th in the nation in passing. It's just a bad matchup, in my opinion, for Marshall. No points for Marshall. A lot of points, hopefully, for Old Dominion in this one. And that's how I think they're going to be able to cover that big number. They're going to be able to run away and hide. And that's why Austin and I cover these smaller games. If I find an edge on paper for Old Dominion, I'm going to roll with them, and I got to trust that those boys cover the spread. They want to win big. Can continue to build some momentum, Monarchs. I'm trusting you as my second pick. But Austin, what else you got?
Yeah, I got a second spread pick, and then we'll dive into some player props, and we're getting on out of here. My second one is an underdog that I think double-digit underdog I think could pull off an upset, or at the very minimum, maybe make this opposing team sweat. That'd be the Boston College Eagles. I'm taking them plus 14.5. They are playing at home, taking on Clemson. Now, if you were to look and backed Boston College last week, I apologize. They got embarrassed 48-7 at Pittsburgh. Everything went wrong. They got 3 turnovers. Their defense couldn't get off the field. They lost the time of possession battle 39 minutes to 21. And I don't know what happened there. You could just blame just a fluke kind of game. Things just didn't go right. Eli Holston, the Pittsburgh QB, also did get randomly benched in that game as well. So maybe they weren't prepared for this backup. I mean, I don't know how you prepare for that. And that guy had a career day. Now they get to change their focus, get back at home, and face Clemson, a team that early on in the season, a lot of people had high predictions and high hopes for them. So far this season, they haven't been good. The only team they looked good against was UNC. And if you've seen the news coming out over the last day about UNC, they're like Bill Belichick's talking about a buyout already. It is a disaster of what's going on in North Carolina. And so everyone has smoked UNC. So you take that game, you throw it out the water because I don't really think it even counts. So this is Clemson, second straight road game. They get to go back home after this one for 2 straight at home. Their offense just doesn't look good. I mean, if you throw out that game against UNC, their offense has not been, blowing teams away, Cade Klubnik and company. And I think Boston College at home, they can keep the game close. Clemson's not a defense that's really shown up this year, only forced 5 turnovers so far this season in their 5 games. So again, if they're not forcing turnovers, I think that could be the Achilles heel for Boston College. Like I said, had 3 last week against Pittsburgh. Back at home, coming off a game they got embarrassed in. I think they keep this one tightish. I don't know if they win it. I mean, plus 14.5 dog to win outright. It's going to be a little bit tough, but I think they can keep this one within at least 2 scores. I like this Boston College taking the Eagles plus 14.5. I think they are a sleeping little dog here. I think they can get the job done. And then my final thing, we'll talk about our underdog player. Perhaps a reminder, we're playing this on Underdog Fantasy. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's the best daily fantasy app out there. We do a slip every single week. I swear if I go 3 of 4 again, I'm going to crash out. Again, you could sign up using my code COS or the link down below. You play $5 to give you $100 in bonus funds to use on college football. You could use it on the NFL. You get a free pick as well. Sign up. Here are my props I'm going with. A bunch of players we've already kind of touched on in their big games. Luke Altmaier, taking his less than 1.5 pass touchdowns. I'm actually only doing pass touchdown props. Fernando Mendoza, I got his over 1.5 pass touchdowns. I have Arch Manning's less than 1.5 pass touchdowns, and Jaden Mayava, I think that's how you pronounce his name, over 1.5 pass touchdowns. So 2 overs, 2 unders. 2 guys are fading in Illinois and Texas. We already kind of talked about why we're fading their offenses. And then Indiana, we obviously talked about how we think their offense puts up points. We both like the over there. And Mayava has been really good for USC. Taking on Michigan, tougher matchup, but I think he puts up some points there. You can basically 5x your money with this slip, and I think it's cash, and we're finally going 4 for 4. Again, sign up with code COS or the link down below. Those are our picks. That's week 7. We did an identical video for the NFL, but we go through every single game because there's not 50 matchups per week, whatever it is in college football. You can check that video out. I'll link it on the screen. Go check out that one. We'll also have plenty of other videos for the NFL. Let's have a great week. We'll see you guys back next week. Hopefully no clown noses in next week's video, but you just never know with college football. That's why we love it, but also why you hate it. We'll see you guys back in the next one. Peace.